then he would really be gone forever, because it's the memories that I have that keep him here now. And by having this film, this beautiful film of the year 2020, dedicated to Alexander, at least now I know he'll be remembered even when I'm not here anymore. It gave me a sense of peace that I never thought I would have.
Director Kevin McDonald reflects on the day's emotional range.
The roller coaster of this film is the kind of roller coaster of life. We know it's going to have difficult moments. We know it's going to have dark bits, but also it can have, and for most people does, have moments of incredible happiness and joy.
Life in a Day 2020 reminds us that no matter the year, each day holds promise. Avery Keatley, NPR News.
Life in a Day 2020 premieres on YouTube this weekend. It's Morning Edition from NPR News. I'm Noel King.
And I'm Steve Inskeep.
And I'm David First. The Marketplace Morning Report is coming up next here on WNYC. And stay with us for the BBC News Hour at 9 o'clock on 93.9 FM. And let's check in with London to see what they're working on today. Good morning, BBC.
Good morning, WNYC. I'm James Menendez. Today on NewsHour, the military in Myanmar block access to Facebook, the main source of news in the country, in an effort to curb opposition to the coup. Also, could mixing different coronavirus vaccines offer the same or even better protection? That's BBC NewsHour at 9 on 93.9 FM, WNYC.
32 degrees now in New York City. It's going to be sunny today with a high of 38 degrees. Tonight, some more clouds with a low around 30.
WNYC supporters include Cowan, Leibowitz & Latman, an intellectual property law firm helping businesses protect their domestic and international trademarks, copyrights, and patents for over 60 years. More at CLL.com. Apple TV Plus, presenting the A24 and Apple original film On the Rocks. A New York mother faced with doubts about her marriage teams up with her larger-than-life Playboy father to tail her husband. More at fyc.appletvplus.com.
On the next All of It, we'll speak with the director behind the documentary A Woman's Work, Football's Cheerleader Problem, which follows former NFL cheerleaders as they fight against discriminatory and illegal employment practices in a multi-billion-dollar industry. Plus, author Matteo Ascariapour joins us to preview his darkly comic debut novel, Black Buck, our Get Lit with All of It February book club pick. I'm Allison Stewart. Join me for All of It, weekdays at noon on WNYC.
Federal Reserve research shows the coronavirus is making it easier for robots and software to take jobs permanently, but in a few minutes we'll also hear about a new tool to give human workers an upper hand.
Marketplace Morning Report is supported by Noom, a personalized weight loss program designed to give people knowledge to set new goals and the tools to stick to them for good. Learn more at Noom, Noom.com. And by Indeed, committed to helping businesses hire people with the skills they need. More at Indeed.com/credit.
I'm David Brancaccio. Bayer has reached a deal to resolve future legal claims involving the weed killer Roundup. Bayer, if you want to get continental, has been fighting a series of lawsuits by Roundup users who claim it causes cancer. Marketplace's Nancy Marshall-Genzer joins us with details.
David, this settlement is designed to resolve future Roundup cases. Bayer would pay up to $2 billion to cover future claims from people who say Roundup caused their cancer. And these plaintiffs would get up to $200,000 each, depending on factors like their age and health. People could also opt out and sue Bayer on their own. A U.S. District Court judge in San Francisco still has to approve the settlement.
And Bayer is still facing lawsuits over Roundup.
Right. Bayer agreed to another deal last June worth more than $9 billion to settle most of the U.S. lawsuits filed over Roundup. It's still finishing settlements for the unresolved lawsuits. And of course, Bayer inherited these lawsuits when it bought the agricultural chemical maker Monsanto about 3 years ago.
And Roundup stays on sale?
It will remain on the market, and Bayer still says there's no link between Roundup and cancer, but it has agreed to ask the EPA for permission to add a reference link to Roundup labels where consumers can find scientific studies on Roundup and cancer. The EPA would have to sign off on those labels.
Nancy Marshall-Genzer, thank you. There's another settlement with authorities. The global firm McKinsey will pay $573 million in connection with the work it did to help Purdue Pharma sell more of its opioid painkiller OxyContin, linked to the epidemic of addiction when it was overmarketed and overprescribed. Marketplace.org if you miss our coverage on the air. There is news just now that the number of people signing up for unemployment benefits, mainly after fresh layoffs, fell in the last week. They're still running very high. Those are at 779,000. Now, here's a question they've just started studying in Britain.
If somebody turns up to have their second vaccine and they've already received, say, the Pfizer vaccine, but that's not available that day, then can they receive the Oxford vaccine as an alternative, and vice versa, of course? And that would greatly improve flexibility of delivery.
Oxford University professor Matthew Snape leads the research, speaking to the BBC today. Beyond if it's just okay, they're also checking to see if it might actually produce an immune response that might be even stronger to mix the vaccines or not. They're using Pfizer and AstraZeneca vaccines in this trial. Checking the markets, the Dow future is up 48 points, 0.2%. So is the S&P future. The NASDAQ future is up 0.4%.
Marketplace Morning Report is supported by Avalara. Since 2004, Avalara has been helping businesses streamline and automate their tax compliance processes with cloud-based rate, rule, and filing technology. Avalara, tax compliance done right. AVALARA.com. And by GEP, helping transform supply chains with strategy, services, and software, including GEP Smart and GEP Next, AI-based digital procurement and supply chain platforms. And by C3.ai. C3.ai software enables organizations to use artificial intelligence at enterprise scale, solving previously unsolvable business problems. Learn more at C3.ai.
We're about to tell you something frightening about jobs in this pandemic recovery, and moments later highlight a free online tool that helps fix the problem. The good and the bad news is from the Federal Reserve Bank of Philadelphia, and its president is Patrick Harker. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, David.
If we could just get people vaccinated, and then the presumption of so many is we can get people back to work again. But your research is showing what? That some companies may not need as many people in the end.
Right. So obviously the virus is driving where we are in the economy right now. But there were trends that were happening even before the virus hit. One of those changes is automation. Firms were automating, but in some cases they've accelerated that process because machines don't get viruses. And again, this is where our research that we're doing at the Philly Fed is really focused on what do we do about that? We shouldn't just accept that these people won't be able to find new work. We need to find creative ways to get them the skills they need for the future.
Well, some of this is what your team has developed a website that's not like a job posting board or anything. It's actually something else.
Yeah. So this is based on a really simple question that people ask. What are the jobs that pay above median wages where you don't necessarily need a 4-year college degree? And we've now developed what we call the Occupational Mobility Explorer. We looked at the skill set somebody has now and asked, with some training, is there a job that they could take that would give them an increase in salary? We've done that, and you can actually drill down by metro area to see not only what the increase in salary would be, but also what are the growth of those jobs. So are those jobs shrinking in the economy or are they growing in the economy? So say you're a bill collector. You may have the skills necessary to become a credit counselor. And that job would pay on average 45% more than the job you're currently in. So this is a tool not just for employees, but also for public officials, community colleges, job training programs, to really focus in on where are the jobs of the future that can move people into the middle class.
I assume you'd want to see wider policy measures put into place that would support someone who wants to get retrained in the right thing.
Oh, absolutely. For example, in my old life, I used to be president of the University of Delaware. We created a cyber security set of programs You think of cybersecurity, oh, I need a PhD to do that. No, an associate's degree for many entry-level jobs in cybersecurity is more than sufficient to get you into that work. So while automation is taking away jobs, there are other jobs that are always emerging in an economy where we need to start getting people into those career paths.
Patrick Harker, president of the Federal Reserve Bank of Philadelphia, affectionately known as the Philly Fed. Dr. Harker, thank you so much.
Thank you.
The Philly Fed's Occupational Mobility Explorer, keywords for jobs that pay above the median wage where you don't need a 4-year college degree, also helps you pair the skills you have now with those jobs of the future. Marketplace.org has the link. I'm David Brancaccio, Marketplace Morning Report from APM, American Public Media.
Support for WNYC comes from Hulu, presenting Derek DelGaudio's In and of Itself,